Is anyone breastfeeding here? No. No one is breastfeeding. Alright, should we skip the breastfeeding part? But you may be able to help someone. Let's talk about the first way that we support our children's capacity for self-regulation is by breastfeeding them. Because, and isn't it interesting that that's the first thing that the enemy attacks? You start feeling like, I can't feed this child. Oh no, something is wrong. That's the first thing that the enemy attacks. So the first way we support capacity for self-regulation is through breastfeeding, because whenever we breastfeed, we release oxytocin, which is like a feel-good hormone. We get to touch the baby, we get to do skin-to-skin contact, we get to gaze on the baby. You get what I'm saying?
They raise their feet up.
What?
They raise their feet up with their hands.
Yes. So it's more like breastfeeding is warfare, you know. It is warfare. And I wrote here that it's facilitated by emotional availability, you are present, and when there is no psychological illness also, because if the mother is, she has perinatal mood, anxiety disorders, then she's just breastfeeding, she's just looking, and the child is looking at the face, and it's like a flat affect, like, okay, what's going on? All right, I'm just there. Okay, so it's only when, you know, there is no psychological illness involved, but still they do still encourage parents to still breastfeed, you know, even if you're not feeling there, just do something. Maybe it would show up, the connection will be enhanced. So there's a connection between breastfeeding, self-regulation, secure attachment, and the sense of self, right? So I have what the studies says. Oh, research 1, research 2, research 3, but then you can't see all this research because I'm the only one with my notes right here. Let's see how I can send it to you. All right. So research shows us that breastfeeding exposure is predictive of both for kindergarten academic achievements and self-regulation. So children that are breastfed, they do better in school, especially in the early years, like in the kindergarten stage, and they're able to better, you know, regulate themselves. And there's a difference between bottle feeding and breastfeeding. We all know that. We're not going to shame anyone who cannot breastfeed, okay? All right, it says here that infants with high exclusive breastfeeding experience show significantly greater nerve sensitivity. All right, so the children that are breastfed, more happiness in their lives than those who do not. All right, so let's go to what the Bible says about breastfeeding, because we are all Christians here. All right. I feel that breastfeeding is one of the first challenges mothers face postpartum. So from the moment the baby arrives, there's a battle against their physiological and psychological wellness. So whatever stands in the way of breastfeeding should not be taken lightly. So this is why we all need to pray for that new mom. If she talks to you that she's having issues breastfeeding, don't just say, oh, you'll be fine and stuff. Just pray for the mom, you know, and support the mother. And you can fight by asking God for wisdom on how to address breastfeeding challenges. I had to do that. And my husband was very supportive. Like, what do I need to eat to help with my meal production? And also because of when there is psychological illnesses, we need to fight against that. We stand against whatever stands in the way of our ability to establish a secure attachment with our children. And we should not ask that, oh, we want to breastfeed so we can brag about it. You don't want to say, oh, I breastfed my child for 5 years, just so you can say that. It should be because we want to bond and we want to meet that emotional and spiritual need as well, because you're going to touch and you can pray while breastfeeding. Okay? So we shouldn't let another woman's negative experience become our own truth. The fact that somebody said, oh, I struggle with breastfeeding doesn't mean you have to struggle with it. All right, doesn't mean you have to give up on it. All right, so by faith, Sarah conceived, and I strongly believe she breastfed by the power of faith. So how did she support the physiological development? She breastfed him, even though she was very old, and I believe she did it by faith because she could not. She was old. She should have been the last person to be able to breastfeed a child, and we can find that in Genesis 21, verse 7 to 8. All right. And we saw that she weaned the child later. All right. Also, we see in Psalm 22, verse 9, it's in the Berean Study Bible, it says that you brought me forth from the womb, you made me secure at my mother's breast. So we can see here it's already talking about, we learn secure attachment when we're on our mother's breast. That's when we start learning how to trust. All right.